Okay, guys, hopefully we've got the connection issues solved here. Sorry about that. And that's what it goes. What's happened when it goes, I can't even talk now, been drinking too much. When you go live, we're here at Carolina Bauernhaus Ales here in Anderson, South Carolina, with David Thornton of SouthYeast Labs and Carolina Bauernhaus, and owner and brewer, Keston Helfrich. If you want to react to any questions or ask any questions, just type a comment in there. I can read the comment and ask them the questions. Well, let's everybody log on here. Give them a second here. A little bit of delay, probably. So far, nobody watching. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We're getting some people here. Sorry about the lost connection. That's what happens when you go live and you're dealing with Wi-Fi and all this other stuff. Hopefully, this will go good again. Carolina Bauernhaus Ales in Anderson, David Thornton, Keston, and I guess the first question we're going to ask here is comes from Dan Pixley, and Dan wanted to know when are we going to be able to see some the yeast from SouthYeast Labs out for commercial use or homebrewer use.
Well, that's a complicated question, Dan Pixley, but thanks for asking. So if you are in the upstate or actually just in the state of South Carolina, our yeast is for sale in 2 locations, and I believe one of those locations does sell online, a store called Beer Engineer Supply that's in Charleston, and it's also for sale here in our tap room. We have a limited supply of the homebrew pitches right now. Right now, what really sustains SouthYeast Labs is we do these boutique yeasts for breweries, so like a custom yeast strain that will isolate from some source of something they ferment with, like berries or flowers or honey or something like that. So we have about a dozen clients that we bank unique strains for, and most of the time I'm growing yeast for them. And whenever I have a little lull like is coming up right here, we're going to produce all of our kind of main house strains, and they should be for sale probably in about a month. And maybe Keston and I can figure out how to put them for sale up on the Carolina Bauernhaus commerce page. Yeah, we can figure that out. We can make that happen.
You were going to talk a little bit about one of the beers and how you're going to go through it. I think the kiwi beer, is that what it was? Sure. Yeah, while I'm trying to make sure the feed is going on here. We got 18 people watching right now, so that's good. And I'm just trying to find where the questions are, so in case anybody has asked any questions, we can answer them. But yeah, go ahead and...
Sure. While we're waiting for questions, I'll tell you about one of our new upcoming releases that we're super happy with. We're brewing a beer called Kiwi. It is our 18-mile sour red base, which is essentially Flanders-inspired. And we aged that, well, let me back up a little bit. We fermented that with a blend of native strong ale yeast from SouthYeast Labs, a locally harvested source of lacto, and a couple of Brett's that SouthYeast Labs has grown up from bottles we like. So we fermented this beer with the mixed culture and then blended about 6 wine barrels into a 7-barrel tank and added locally foraged mulberries. It's the first time we've ever crowdsourced an ingredient for one of our beers. It's pretty cool. So we ask our customers to bring us a gallon of mulberries, and we give them a pint of beer. We never said which beer, and most of the clients decided they'd want to have a pint of the beer they collected the mulberries for. Sorry, I got lost on fruit. So that beer is currently nestled safely in bottles, waiting to be waxed, labeled, and sent out to distribution, as well as sold in the tap room here. Anything else?
I'll clarify something.
Yeah, let David clarify. Like I said, I'm kind of just doing the direct. I'm going to just let these guys talk questions. The first, Mark Vessel said to tell you guys hi.
Hey.
And Brandon Toms, hey, Keston. These guys make the best sours in the state. No contest. So you can see the questions work, so keep them coming. And right now we have 17 people. We actually lost 5 people. I guess they got bored.
Yeah, it sounded like you said kiwi earlier, but I wanted to elaborate that it's actually not kiwi, like not the little Kiwi, little green fuzzy fruit. It is Keowee, which is Keowee. It's a lake nearby, and according to the interwebs, the meaning of Keowee is it's a Cherokee word meaning place of the mulberry, and many of these varieties of mulberry are native mulberries to South Carolina. So that was kind of the inspiration for the beer, was trying to use natively sourced fruits, native yeast, regionally grown grains, and we don't really rely much on hops for any of the character in the beer. It's really just from the barrels, the flora, the grain bill, and mulberries. Yeah. Oh, and a little bit about more about the inspiration of the beer. We kind of have 3 base sour beers that we make here: a light golden sour, a dark sour, and a red sour. And so the red sour is really modeled or inspired by a Flanders, and to kind of make it more unique to our brewery, SouthYeast Labs went and isolated strains of yeast for Carolina Bauernhaus from the region. So from prickly pear fruit for the lactobacillus strain, and from nectarines for the main dominant yeast strain that's in there. And then, as Keston mentioned, the Brettanomyces, though, those are actually bottle-foraged strains, I should say, and they're not native, but darn, they're delicious. So,
Yeah, one of my favorite strains at SouthYeast Labs is the HS2 that come from a place in Tennessee, that from a honeysuckle plant, and I've used that yeast in saisons. I've used it in my amber ale that actually made it to the finals of the National Homebrew Festival. It's a fantastic yeast. It's being used by a very prominent GABF award-winning brewery in Tennessee. It's a great yeast. I'm not allowed to say the name of the brewery, but y'all can figure that out. But it's a fantastic yeast. So if you're in the Carolina area or can order online, it'd be a great yeast to get a hold of. Also, you can go back and watch the Southern Brewers Conference as soon as I give Matt Leff, who just said hi, by the way, his videos. David had a Wild and Forge and Yeast conference, and I've got that on this camera. So that'll be posted up on a YouTube page from the Southern Brewers Conference pretty soon. Also have Brandon Jones's very much watched talk about wood and yeast and sour beer. So we got about 27 people watching. Have we got any more questions? Aim camera. Ryan Stiegel. Oh, the camera's full. Oh, it's fell. Hold on a second. Here, you talk. I'll get the camera right.
Keston on that one.
So since Art was talking about the HS2, this is totally unscripted, by the way. We're working without notes, so it's just going to be kind of stream of consciousness. Yeah, in the middle of open mic night. Yeah, the 18 Mile Red is the main fermentation strain is SouthYeast Labs Strong Ale yeast, also known as N1, locally collected from a nectarine. Is the camera pointing at us now?
Thumbs up, so I guess it's working.
Yeah, well, they can at least hear us, if nothing else. And Ed is a wonderful accompanist to this interview.
We have a question from Justin DeLuca. Do you guys think hibiscus is the work of Satan himself? And as he sent it to make most beers, it finds its way into terrible. And you guys do a hibiscus beer, so.
Actually,
I thought you did.
We did a hibiscus kombucha, and it was quite delicious, but it was just the dried flower, added with tea. So it was pretty easy to use for that application. So was that like a love-hate relationship with hibiscus that I just? Yeah.
I've never attempted to use it in a beer.
We've more had that love-hate relationship with strawberries, but time in nurturing makes them taste good.
Okay, let's see if we got. I did say Southern Brewers Conference, Matt. Let's see here. Talk about your fruiting process, barrels, stainless, extraction methods. There you go. This is one for you, Keston.
Yep. So the barrels, the 18 Mile Red came out of a various collection of Tempranillo, Cabernet, and Petit Syrah barrels. So I pulled a blend into a stainless 7-barrel tank, various ratios from the barrels. And then we pulp all the fruit with an old-fashioned fruit press. We put the juice into the fermenter onto the beer, and then hang a bag of pulp in a mesh bag just to keep it clean. and then let it age. Obviously all that sugar starts a little fermentation, so we just monitor it until we decide the flavor's right, and then crash the tank, package from there.
We have a question from Dwayne Schaff out of Missouri. Are all of your local yeast served from fruits, or do they have any isolates that are ambient captures? And I have no idea what that means, but ambient captures.
I'm assuming that means like caught from the air, and we have a couple of strains, none that we've really tried to commercialize that came from the air. We found the ones that come from a sugary source are really better suited and higher attenuating and like better classic characteristics like flocculation and attenuation compared to some of the wild cultures, which I'm fairly certain that most of them are not going to be able to tolerate like 10% alcohol, at least from our yeast boot camp method. We do have from sources of honey, tree sap, variety of flowers, but the damaged fruits that have already kind of shown signs of fermentation, those have really been the good source, as well as a beehive. Every time I've tried to isolate from a beehive, it's been successful. So whether it's the comb, the bee itself, or some unpasteurized honey, it's in there. And then I just have to have a good process for pulling it out.
I have another question. This time it's from Sean McBride of Fermentation Nation. Hey, if y'all need to listen to a great podcast, look up Fermentation Nation. They're out of Charlotte, and they did a podcast here with these guys about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a little longer than that, but fermentationnation.net or .com, but they have a lot of interesting podcasts. They've done some with Jeff Mello from Bootleg Biology, but they did an interesting one. They came all the way down here to Anderson. Well, I shouldn't say all the way, but all the way they came to Anderson and did a live podcast here, and it was super interesting. One of the best podcasts I've ever had. Learned a lot of information about how Keston does his barrels and a lot of things about that. Okay, here's the question from Sean. I'm expecting a check, Sean. What's the most interesting thing they've learned they never considered before and open a commercial brewery? That's probably for you.
The most interesting thing or the most true thing? The mountains and mountains and mountains of paperwork is probably the most interesting thing I've learned opening this place. It's far more than I ever anticipated it being, and takes away from brewing a lot more than I'd like.
We got some new. I'll turn the camera here in a second. I want to show some of the new. Since the last time I've been here, they've increased. If you see all these barrels here, and how many barrels?
I'll add some interesting things that we've learned since we
Okay.
started.
Okay. Wait. Go say it again because I didn't hear you.
Okay, I was going to add a couple of the other interesting things we've learned. Keston and I both coming from a homebrew background, we had few opportunities to do blending before we opened the brewery here. So about the first 9 months that we've been open, most of our sour beers are either single barrels or fermented in stainless, and the blended beers are the ones that just started coming out with our bottle releases. So we're on our 5th or 6th bottle release right now, which are sort of the beginning of all these blended beers. And now we have quite an army of these 7-barrel blending tanks. One of the most useful things for a brewery our scale is the Grundy. I don't know if you want to turn the camera and show the Grundy over there, but they have a nice large opening on the top and a shallow cone in the bottom, and they're for a place like us, we are, being a farmhouse brewery, we don't have temperature control and we don't have a glycol chilling system. All of our heat is direct fire on the mash tun and on the kettle. And once we're fermenting at ambient temperature. So we're choosing our yeast strains based on our seasons, fermenting the beer either in stainless or in barrels, and then when it comes time to test them after they've attenuated, we decide what goes into the blends of the beers, and just the amazing qualities that you get from blending are things that I know that I personally never achieved while homebrewing. So I'm really happy about especially the line of sour reds coming out. I'm drinking our 18 Mile Cherry, which is a very similar version to the Kiowa, which is the mulberry beer that Keston was talking about. I just love this base beer. It's got so many elements of the flora, the barrel character. One of the other things that I'd say we learned from homebrewing, but have applied it heavily to the brewery here, is using higher percentages of unmalted and under-modified grains to leave body in the beer. We don't do much with water treatment. We kind of strip our water naked so that we don't have a lot of influence from the water. We triple filter the water, boil it the night before, let it sediment overnight, and then use that water the next day for our mashing process. So I guess getting at a lot of the character or some of the salinity that's in our beers, that's really coming from the really diverse malt profile. Keston would talk more about it. I know I experimented a lot with unmalted wheat, torrefied wheat, and oats, but he's gotten into a lot of the heavier stuff. You know, he's getting into some spelt and some dehusked dark malts and things like that.
Absolutely.
Do you want to expand on that?
I think you did a great job, but I mean, we use a lot of, I of course went to the mundane. We use a lot of local unmalted wheat from local farmers. We use spelt. We use an under-modified Pilsner from a malt house in North Carolina. Because a lot of these native yeasts I'm provided with will destroy any sugar they come in contact with. So we find other ways to build body in the beer, and that's how we do it, through the unmalted grains.
Longer boils.
Yeah, longer boils, higher mash temperatures, scary high mash temperatures in some cases. But yeah, the use of a lot of unmalted local grains adds a lot of unique regional character to the beer, which is kind of our mission.
Got another question. This is from Aaron Barlow. What is your yeast boot camp method? Yeah, this is one that's on the video, so if you get a chance to watch the Southern Brewers Conference, Matt, video when I get it posted, but he'll describe the boot camp again here.
Yeah, I'll try to do an abbreviated version, and we can maybe elaborate either in the comment section or reference the video where I did a whole PowerPoint presentation on it at the Southern Brewers Conference. But it starts with doing what I would call a sour mash. There's like a lot of traditional methods of either souring on the grain or adding macerated fruit into a weak wort solution, allowing that to ferment aerobically. When I say weak wort solution, I'm talking about 6 Plato, just made from some DME.
Bunch of home brewers. What's 6 Plato?
1.033-ish, I want to say. Somebody can correct me. It's somewhere around there.
Yeah, 1034, 1036, somewhere around there.
I like Plato because it's like easier math. So I guess homebrewers try to sound smarter with those greater decimal places in there, which probably are. But yeah, just using those whole numbers of the Plato system and dividing by 2 to roughly give you sugar percentage. I like that. All right. Divide. Yeah. Okay. So starting with the sour mash, let it grow aerobically till you see noticeable fermentation. Then I force it aerobically by putting an airlock in it. While it's growing aerobically, a good way to keep it aerobic is gently turn it on a stir bar and put a foam stopper or a sterile cotton ball in the top of an Erlenmeyer flask. That's how most of our cultures are captured. So after it goes anaerobic, allow it to attenuate, and then take some of the biomass that has accumulated in the bottom of that flask and step it up into some 22 Plato wort. I don't know the specific gravity conversion, but you're roughly going to get a beer that attenuates around 10% alcohol. And a lot of them fail, and I just abandon those strains. I still bank them, and I have them in vials in our fridges and freezers. But I'm really looking for the ones that can handle 10% alcohol on their own. And I know I might be passing up some flavor opportunities with these other yeast strains, but if you talk to folks that have used SouthYeast before, they'll say, oh, this yeast is kind of sluggish. And there's nothing really I can do about that except offer to some pointers using the yeast would be try to ferment at a slightly higher temperature, knock out at like 74, and allow the beers to free rise, giving them that warmer start to fermentation. You can try pitching a larger pitch, but I find that takes away from a lot of the ester and phenolic character that comes from these yeast strains. So talking about a whole bunch of things at once here. I hope it's maybe spawning some new questions that are coming in. But yeah, once we get to that attenuation at 10% alcohol, I check the pH. Every time it's attenuated and gotten to that 10% alcohol level, it's been at a pH below 4.5, which is kind of considered a safe level to ward off any of the bad bugs that are in there. At that point, it's still a mixed culture, so I need to isolate it. I streak it onto UBA, which is Universal Beer Auger, and then by looking at the colony morphology, the shape of the colonies on that plate, and I can take a couple of those colonies, put them on their microscope, get a single colony growing, and those are the ones that we then characterize for full attenuation, flocculation characteristics, impacts on pH, and the sort of qualitative ester and phenolics analysis.
You have a question from J.M. Hammond. I guess either one of y'all can answer. This is, are you using commercial pitches or growing up yeast from batch to batch? That's probably for you. You're the brewer.
Yeah, we're using SouthYeast makes us a commercial size pitch, and then that's our original pitch. What we do is after the original pitch, we'll let it grow up in barrels or tanks, and then I will just start pitching things from barrel to barrel and tank to tank. So, the batch 1, yes, is an original commercial SouthYeast Labs pitch. Batches 2 through about 6 or 8 until I start to see some degradation. I'm just feeding from active fermentations.
Okay. Let's see here. Next one is from Justin DeLuca again. At ambient fermentation, I dig it. Wait a minute. Okay. At ambient temperature, I dig it. Mishaps along the way determine what yeast works best when, or does that lend to the blending?
I know Keston and I coordinate what yeast we use in which beer. A little brief history is Keston was the first beta tester for SouthYeast Labs. He was the president of my homebrew club like 5 years ago when it started, and he was the only one in our club making like Belgian and sour beer. So he was like perfectly suited to test our strains for us. So we've had like a jump start before SouthYeast was even really a thought of ever becoming a business. We were just kind of myself, my partner from SouthYeast Labs, Evan and Keston, were brewing all of these wild ales. I guess before we even knew they were called wild ales. So we learn what temperature ranges they perform well in. During the summertime, we're really limited to like 2 strains of SouthYeast Labs yeast that we don't mind if they get up to 90 degrees or so. That's the native strong ale, N1. So we brew a lot of high gravity beer during the summertime that is going to dry out, fully attenuate, and then mature in barrels. Like our Rye Golden Strong, we have a couple of those that came out this summer. One with peaches, the one now is aging on muscadines, and another version that was on jalapenos. The other strain that works really well at this temperature is the P1 strain. We call it Musserweissen. When I say this temperature, I meant the summer. Actually, we switched our whole yeast now that we're going into fall. We're into fall yeast now, which is still N1 because N1 is good all year round. But at lower temperatures, N1 is very clean. So this is the time of year when we can make things that are like IPAs and things that are like porters and things. English mild is a style that we like to make. We're working on an ESB right now. This is like weird because it's not funk, so don't kick us off. But we kind of have to make all of our clean beer in this window. And then when winter rolls in a couple months, we'll be using that same P1 strain that performs well in the summertime. We'll be using it in the winter at a cold temperature to make we did a Kolsch with it this year that came out really well. It's a slow fermentation, but it still chugs along at 35 degrees in our walk-in cooler. So those strains are beasts in the summer and then nice and subdued in the wintertime. But we also play with a lot more of our Saison cultures this time of year. Also, obviously making sour beer in the summertime is a great idea. Putting that lacto to use, and then over the winter it has time to swell and contract in the barrels. The beer just completely changes having that cold spell where you get a lot of extraction from the wood, and it's just better.
Another question from J.M. Hammond. What is your process for barrel-aged beers? Do you use stainless FV primary, move to barrels for sour inoculation, or some other method?
We actually almost exclusively primary and age in barrel. We use the stainless tanks for blending. So we will primary and barrel, age anywhere from 4 to, we have beers we brewed when we opened, so 9 months now. and then we'll blend and age. We'll blend and fruit those in stainless.
Okay. Any other questions here? It looks like the questions have dried up, but yeah, we had about averaged around 35 viewers, so that's a pretty good for the first time we've done this with little or no warning. I think we gave about an hour and then we lost the feed for a little bit. Tell them where you can find Carolina Bauernhaus beers.
Well, the most obvious place is here at the Tap Room in Anderson. We're at 115 West Federal Street. We can also be found in higher-end bottle shops and beer bars throughout the upstate of South Carolina, the Charleston area, and
Starting in Charlotte.
yeah, I was going to say, I guess I can say that now. You will soon be able to find us in the Charlotte market. We'll be doing...
Sour beer fest.
Yeah, we'll be at the Salute Sour Fest in November, so hopefully we see some of you there.
More questions.
Okay, got some more questions here. From Alex Zandovich, what do you think about kettle sour beers?
I don't.
Where is, what's the guy in Florida? No, from St. Somewhere.
Oh, Bob's?
Yeah, but where's Bob Sylvester when we need him? Yeah. Okay, here you go, Ken.
I actually don't think about kettle souring, so that's a pretty easy answer. Our native lacto ferments fast and clean and beautifully, so I don't even worry about kettle souring.
I'd also say, kettle souring is something that a brewery would do that was afraid of risking contamination in their brewery, or they may not have the infrastructure to keep a large stockpile of golden sour beer around. We probably have about 600 gallons of it on hand at any time. So we have a variety of white wine and red wine barrels with this golden sour in them, some neutral barrels, some still wine character barrels. And for us, it's easier just to kind of take the beer with the acidity you want and then blend in that acidity in the blending tank rather than blending it into the kettle. Yeah.
I think we answered this question once already, but we'll do it again for J.M. Hammond. It says, so do homebrewers get access to these strains talked about?
Yeah, I'd say there's 3 or 4 ways to get the yeast right now. You could come buy it in the Carolina Bauernhaus tap room, which is co-houses SouthYeast Labs. You could buy it from Beer Engineer Supply. They're in Charleston, South Carolina. I believe they have an online store. You could buy a bottle of Carolina Bauernhaus beer and grow it up yourself, because I know there's lots of information about that here. And a lot of folks on this forum have been sharing yeast. So we actually, I guess, full disclosure, one of the strains of Brettanomyces we use, we got from James from Black Project. We got it that 2 or 3 years ago. There was like a group share where James was like, I got the real, Brett Driefonteinen. And we were like, ooh.
I've got that strain too.
Yeah, so that's one that I keep just for Keston. We love the character that puts in a farmhouse rye IPA. That nice tropical character and good attenuation.
Okay, well, so I don't see, okay. J.M. Hammond, he's probably going to win the award for most questions tonight. Do you like to mix lacto, pedio, and Brett? Or what is your favorite mix for a good complex beer?
We actually don't use a whole lot of PDO just because we're super impatient in general. We have a few barrels with PDO in them that are aging longer, but for a general fermentation mix, we use either the strong yellow yeast, HS2, P1 as a primary yeast, and then 2 strains of Brett, Brooks, Dre, and then a touch of lacto. That's our general mix.
Well, it looks like the questions have dried up. I'll hold on. There's a little bit of a delay, so hey, you can get some hearts floating across the screen. All right, yeah. So I'll hold on for a second here while we wrap it up. Just wait to see if there's any more questions, because there is a delay, probably about a 5-second delay. It probably takes to get to all the satellites and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Well, I guess that's about it. Hey, I hope everybody enjoyed our first Milk the Funk Live. I have a job where I get to travel around.
I have a bottle from a Milk the Funk member
We can do that. Okay, go ahead. Hey, we are actually going to do a tasting from a Milk the Funk member. We are not done, so stay tuned, folks. David's going to get a bottle. It's from a Milk the Funk person, and we're going to do a little tasting and embarrass them, hopefully. No, one way or the other.
We've really never had a bad one.
Well, that's true. I've tasted some of the beers that they've used making those strains. We need glasses too, you know that. Are we just going to drink out of the bottle? Okay, Keston, while we're waiting, tell them what size your fermentation sizes.
Sure. We have a 3-barrel brew house, so we make a lot of wort. I've got a farm of about 100 barrels, ranging in size from 15 gallons to 69 gallons. Then we have 8 puncheons. We have 3-barrel steel tanks, 6 7-barrel steel tanks, and a 5-barrel jacketed tank that we use. Again, the steel tanks are mainly used for blending and then brewing large batches of clean beers this time of year.
Well, we got a lot more questions now, so we ain't done here. Let's see here. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anybody's. Okay, from Tyler Bunton. What's the biggest mistake you see beginner homebrewers make with sour beer?
The biggest mistake I see in homebrewed beer is thinking that off flavors taste great. If it tastes like nail polish, no good. If it tastes like, what's the other big one? Yeah. If you get any butyric flavors, no good. It's mainly, there's a lot of things that make up a sour beer, and I see, those are the biggest faults that I see tasting friends' homebrewed beers. Sours, at least.
We have some more questions here. From John Rawlinson, best hops for sour beers.
I like cluster.
I was gonna say none generally. No. We like to use a lot of cluster because it's very herbal, spicy, and it fits with our native theme. It's one of the oldest grown hops in the United States. I also love a lot of the Australian, New Zealand hops, Galaxy, Motueka, Victoria's Secret. There is a hop called Victoria's Secret. Oh, it's always going to be Victoria's Secret to me. Citrus, another good one. I like to stay away from the real piney hops like Chinook, things like that. I just don't feel those. To me, those flavors don't meld well.
Hijacking the microphone. I'm going to tell you about the beer that I just opened.
Are the cider strains available? This comes from Andy Trout. Are the cider strains available also?
I don't have any of that grown up right now, but I can definitely grow up some N3 in the near future here. We're going to be producing N1, B3, P1, HS2, and our Saison blend over the next couple weeks.
This question is from me, from Sean McBride. Yes, he goes, so Art, what is your favorite beer? Try tonight. The next one, because I don't think I've ever paid anything. I don't know if that's illegal. Maybe I shouldn't say that for a beer here. So, but I'll make sure I pay him tonight. My favorite beer tonight that I've had, I'm just going from tonight because they've had a lot of great beers. I really liked the beer I'm drinking right now, which is the Blackberry Petite Sour. The Red 18 cherry, or the 18-mile red cherry was really good. And the Tiger Aid, is that what it's called? Yep. That was a really good beer. Explain what the Tiger Aid is. Yeah, go before we get to tasting this beer. We'll let this warm up just a little bit.
If you want.
Yeah, okay. We did our Belgian Pale Ale, which is Cluster Funk. And I'd say it fermented kind of warmer than we wanted it to. We used a different strain than we would normally use to make our Cluster Funk, which is like a Belgian-inspired pale ale, and it really pushed some spice notes in it, like cracked black pepper and clove, and it was a little too much, and we were wondering what to do with it, and we'd been wanting to make a blood orange beer, so we got a little puree, we kind of mixed up a little side batch of it. We use little carboys. If you turn the camera around, you'll see like 20 carboys spread across the brewery here, where we'll pull some here and there just to see what we want to do for like a rate of adding ginger or dry hop or fruit to sour beer. We do a bunch of experiments, which we put on every Tuesday, and kind of get feedback from which is working best. And I forgot what I was talking about. So, I'm going to have to go in a second because I signed up for open mic night with my friend Regina. So how about before I do that?
Let's do the beer, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you about this beer right here. I met my long-lost cousin on Milk the Funk, Stephen McFadden. He's a brewer at Three Knots Brewing Collab House in Richmond. I stopped by there today, tried their beer, which was delicious. And then we traded some home brews. And so I know... Yeah. Yeah, I've been...
Of course, I was in Nashville today, so okay.
We burned up the highway together. Great beer in Richmond. That's becoming a fantastic beer city. I haven't even hit all the breweries there yet. But this here is his Berliner Weiss. I can tell because he just sent me the recipe that he was influenced by Milk the Funk. He said it's about 45% wheat, 55% pills. I forget the original gravity, somewhere around 1040, I want to say.
Yeah, would have been.
I'll be right there. Regina. Hold the show. Then he chilled the wort at knockout. Oh, the hops that were in it were Fuggles. Chilled the wort at knockout to 105 degrees and pitched Planetarium from Good Belly. So there was the influence from Milk the Funk there. They're harassing me on the microphone for open mic right now, so I'm sorry I'm not keeping a straight face here. So yes, soured with Planetarium for 4 days, and then he added the SF05 to finish attenuating the beer, and then he aged it on Goyaba fruit. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Never heard of it. He said Goyaba, Goiaba, I want to say it was. Somebody's going to text what I'm talking about here.
We can always add that on the comment sections here. You come back and look at this. This will stay live on the page, so it won't go away when we're done.
Yeah, Goyaba fruit.
Okay. How you spell it? Goyaba. Oh, it might be Goya. I see that sometimes and I don't know if that Goya, but you see that sometimes in the Mexicans, in the section of the ethnic section of the Kroger stores and all that. There's a Goya in a can, and I think it is a fruit. So.
Oh, yeah, he said it's a type of guava, Goiaba.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Stefan, for clarifying. So I'm going to pass this off, and I'll go play you some music while you keep drinking.
Okay, we might actually, as a bonus, take the camera, walk the camera over, and get some bonus. We got another question for it. Yeah, Goiaba is Portuguese for guava. Man, this is Milk the Funk. You learn everything. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Took a little while.
I can't answer questions about SouthYeast.
For your fruit additions, do you use whole or pureed, and what is the length of contact time?
We use as much locally collected fruit as we can, and then we will either juice it, press it, puree it, and contact time is really dictated by the fruit itself. We've gone as short as a couple of weeks. Generally, though, it seems to range about 4 to 6 weeks on fruit to get the flavor character we want. When we can't get local fresh fruit, we will use purees. And again, that's just, I let the flavor dictate the contact time.
Okay, favorite and least favorite off flavors. Is there such a thing as a favorite off flavor?
Yeah, I definitely think you can have a favorite off flavor. I mean, my favorite...
And that came from Stephen Tate. I got you, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite off flavor, some of the... I really dig the sweet tart note you can get sometimes in golden sours. It's kind of like some folks call it the Cheerio flavor. I forget the chemical name for it.
Is that the TA?
Yeah, they're the T... somebody that... Yeah, but... Yeah, but I mean, it's that Cheerio, grainy, sweet tart flavor. I really enjoy in some beers. So, and least favorite is definitely ethyl acetate. Nail polish. Can't stand it. Kick my wife out of the house whenever she paints her nails. I just have no tolerance for it.
From Cameron Johnson, favorite pronunciation of GOSE?
I've heard them all. I prefer Goza. So I think that may be the proper pronunciation. I've never looked it up, but I like to accept Goza.
I go with that one too. And I don't know what Cameron put something else in here, but I don't know what TSP means.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, TSP. Okay, thank you. Okay, Cheerios factor. Okay, thank you, Cameron. You got one of the dumbest Milk the Funk guys here doing this interview, so forget Pixley or James Seitz or some of those other guys who just blow my mind sometimes with their knowledge. And that's the great thing about this page is guys, a rookie home brewer or somebody who just wants to learn how to brew better beer like myself, Keston, or guys like David Thornton, Jeff Mello, the guys from Omega. I'm going to believe people out. We have so many great yeast. RVA Labs. What's the guys in Canada? Richard Price. I forget. I can't. I'm sorry, Richard. I can't name your company, but maybe somebody will put it on here. And then of course the Yeast Bay guys also on this page. Fantastic guys that a lot of us brew with, and so as you can probably tell, we've been drinking a little bit while we're doing this, and I think my camera's about to die. So unless we have any more, okay, Tetra from Brett Anderson, tetrahydropyridine, and that may not be pronounced right, but that's close enough for tonight. Yeah, but okay, like I said, we're on a delay. I'll hold off for a few more seconds, and they're probably going to wrap this thing up. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching in. Hopefully you like this. As I said, my job, I get to travel around the Southeast, and I get to know a lot of brewers. And we were going to do this with Jason Pellet one night, and we just got too drunk to do it. So, Orpheus Brewing makes some fantastic beer in Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, make sure you check him out. And I love his technique of making sour beer. And so he's offered one day to tell us about it, and but we'll just have to stay sober when we do that. What's the average? This is from Levi Strauss. Okay. What's the average time from brewing to glass for a non-blended beer?
For a non-blended beer, our average time is probably about 4.5, 5 months. Sour beer, at least. I mean, we do brew some clean beers in the barrels, so those may only be there 6 weeks. But most of the sours we won't pull before about 4 or 5 months.
Sean Johnson from Birds Fly South up in Greenville. And if you haven't had any Birds Fly South, again, I should charge advertise on this thing here. But make some great saisons at Birds Fly South and some fantastic beers. So if you're in the Greenville area, make sure you grab some of his beer. And he just opened his brewery, I believe. Yeah, up there. So check it out. Yeah, I am getting a low battery warning, so this is not going to last long here. From Sean Johnson, flip-flops or boots for brew shoes?
Gotta go with boots. Burned my toes way too many times on flip-flops. Great question.
From Justin Bretsky, favorite Brett strain for 100% Brett fermentation?
Dre, no question at all. Love that. Just lovely pineapple phenolics. You get just a touch of some lower phenolics, like a clovey, almost pool linery kind of thing sometimes. Very, very complex strain.
Okay, I think that's the last question. I haven't seen any pop up. And I said, my phone is about to die, so I'm going to have to call this quits. Hey, please go ahead and ask if you got any more questions or you're watching this later. Go ahead and ask in the comments section. I'll make sure that David and Keston will answer them. This video will stay on this page. And so it's, again, thanks a lot again. And as always, the Milk the Funk guys come up with great questions. I don't think Fermentation Nation could exist without Milk the Funk, to be honest about it. I'm just kidding, Sean. But hey, again, thanks again for tuning in. And that's all, folks. Okay, wait a minute. Got one more. Bob Fernandez, real quick. If I was making 1 gallon cultures, can I keep it at room temp, and how long before I feed it again?
I didn't hear the last part about how long.
How long before I feed it again? Yeah, if I'm making 1 gallon cultures, and I room temp, and maybe David
Yeah, that's more of a David question. But yeah, because I've never left them that long without blending, so I really can't speak to that. Because yeah, that's a David question.
Bob, I'll get David to answer that question. Like I said, you can come on and comment later on the questions that aren't answered. If I missed any, sometimes it kind of flew by here. And again, like I said, we've been drinking as Milk the Funkers do. So again, that's it. Got to go. I'm going to run out of power here shortly.